Can he lose his job on tomorrow? Now, James, before I get to you, big dog, I was thinking to myself this. TJ, you can probably attest to it. I was the 52nd person on a 53-man depth chart. Unlike y'all was probably top 20, top 10, all these things. So preseason games matter to me more than anybody on this desk and anybody you will watch on national television. But one of the most potent quotes I ever heard, TJ, from a coach, it still rings true in my ear to this day, family at home, is this. The coach said, Acho, my job is to ensure you make the league, not the team. Because the preseason games weren't to make the team. You made the team at practice. The preseason games were for the other 31 teams. They weren't actually for the team that you were a part of. But this situation with Russell Wilson is very unique because this preseason game is actually for the one team, not the other 31 teams. Mike Tomlin specifically said practice isn't going to decide who starts. The preseason game is going to decide who starts. Russell Wilson hasn't had a lot of practice, so even from a micro level, this preseason game means more to Russell Wilson than practice means to Russell Wilson. And to you, the dedicated fan, the preseason game matters most because you haven't seen Russell Wilson practice. I believe that there is no more pressure on any individual player this preseason and maybe over the last decade of a preseason game than there is the pressure on Russell Wilson in his first preseason game for the Pittsburgh Steelers tomorrow. Preseason games are not for your team. They are for the other 31 teams. But in this unique case, James Jones, this preseason game is exclusively and specifically for the Pittsburgh Steelers as it pertains to Russell Wilson's status on that squad as a starter.
That's good.
How big a statement, and any statement at all, does Russ need to make?
That's well said. That's well said. I don't know if you can say it any better than that,
it is.
But my coach in college, that coached me in college, Keith Williams, that raised me, Devontae, trained a lot of really good receivers, right? My rookie year, I believe I led the preseason in receiving yards, right? My next year, I came out there, ain't playing as much. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you don't think you made the team? You think you like? And he called me and said, "You got to play like a rookie, dog." He said, "You already think you own the team?" He said, "Last year you was playing like a rookie because you knew you had to make this team and you had to make a statement. You going through the motions just like you own this team already, dog. Like you about to start like you the #1 receiver. You the #1? And I said, "No, I'm not the #1. He said, "So why ain't you playing like a rookie?" Russell Wilson won his job, took it from Matt Flynn as a rookie because he was playing as a rookie and he had that hungry mindset that I got to go out here and prove a point to win my job. He has to go out here in this preseason game with that rookie mindset because Justin Fields is behind him. And I'm telling you right now, everybody in that Pittsburgh Steelers organization wants Justin Fields to win this job. You have a young phenom quarterback with a lot of talent that you can plug into your team for the next 10 years that you got for a 6th-round pick. They will want nothing more. Russell Wilson, if you want your career to continue, you have to go out here in this preseason game and prove a point and play like you're a rookie, and you got to make all these plays.
Yeah, it's paramount that he makes a statement. And it's because the last 3 years, Russell Wilson has not played good football. And you can say last year, oh, he played solid. Everything for quarterbacks is measured by wins and losses.
Yes, sir.
Is your team winning? Okay, you get the credit. If your team losing, Russ, you got to take the blame. Now you go into camp, you have a calf injury. Justin Fields has shown that he can play. When you go 6 for 6, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. That's a good thing. Now, this is going to be, are the Bills going to play their starters? That's going to be the key because if the Bills don't play starters and Russell Wilson plays well, does it matter? Does it really matter if the Bills don't play their starters on defense? But more than anything, Russ has to prove to himself that I can still do this at a high level. We all think we can. And, yeah, it's the preseason. If you don't attack it like you're the 52nd player, if you don't attack it like you're a rookie and you start to take these things for granted, you're going to be at home.
TJ, personalize something for me real quick because unique to our show, especially in this moment, got 12 years of experience to my right, got 9 years of experience to my left. Personalize for me a moment for yourself where you had to prove something to yourself that you could still do it. My rookie year, I blew out my MCL against the Green Bay Packers, preseason game #2 in Lambeau Field. So I tore my quad at the NFL Combine as a graduating senior, tore it off the bone running the 40-yard dash. My rookie year, I tear my MCL. So now it's my second year in the league. I ain't played a snap yet.
Yeah.
I'm in a preseason. Can I still run? Because the last time I ran, I tore my quad off the bone. The other time versus stretch play versus Green Bay Packers, I get a cut block, I blow my knee completely out. That preseason game, I had to prove to myself, Acho, they drafted you in the NFL for a reason. You can still do it. You mentioned Russ has to prove something to himself. You played 12 years, one of those years, I believe, with the Seahawks. Was there a moment for you that you were like, you know what, I got to prove to TJ that I can still go get busy?
That's good. That's good.
I think every year you're going to have some lows in a season. And when you have that low, you feel like that next practice, I got to go prove myself. Not only for me, for the rest of the guys that look at me as one of the better players on the team, for the coaching staff that looks at me as one of the better players on the team. Because my first couple years in the league, I mean, I might not have been 52. I was probably 50, you know? So I had to prove myself my first few years in the league. And then when you establish yourself, everybody wants to prove themselves now against you in practice and or games. And so there's always points in your career where you have to continue to prove. I was a starter. We draft 2 receivers. I got to prove that I deserve to still be a starter because you just didn't draft 2 receivers in the first 3 rounds for no reason. And so every year you have to continue to prove yourself. Russell Wilson has not proven himself to be a starter in the National Football League in the last 2 years. Denver is, in essence, paying the Pittsburgh Steelers to have Russell Wilson on the team. If he doesn't play well, that locker room it's not going to have
James, I got to ask
really quick, though, no, because that was a really good question. Because I came off of a really good rookie year, right? I had, like, the most yards as a rookie for a Packer in a long time. My second year, I come out reading my press clippings. And I think I'm the dude, even though I'm not the #1 receiver or not, but, you know, shoot, I started as a rookie, all that. So early in the season, I was dropping balls, tricking them off. Easy, like, I should have 65 touchdowns right now if my second year went the right way, right? I'm dropping the football, right? And TJ knows his best. You play defense. As a receiver, if you drop a ball, I got the next one. Don't trip. Watch this. You drop another one, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. You drop another one, your mentals
it's all in your head. All in your head.
Your mentals is gone.
Ball coming to you. Like, catch it.
Like, literally, like, it was so in my head that, like, Aaron would be like, JJ, what it's looking like? Not good. Even if it was one-on-one, any other time, I'm like, I'm open if I'm double teamed. In that case, I'm like, not good. Mentally, I was shot. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I could catch. I went through that moment in the National Football League, like, I don't know if I could catch because I was dropping the football. So I'm like, I had to prove it to myself. And one moment we were playing the Denver Broncos, and it was a goal ball, and I went up and I made a tough catch. And I'm like, bro, you know how to catch. Like, what you out here, like, you know how to catch. And now when I walk around Green Bay, because when I was going through that slump, everybody was like, man, this dude's sorry. He can't catch all that. We know all that. Now when I go back to Green Bay after 9 years, they be like, you had some of the best hands. I'm like, they forgot that. But I had to prove it to myself, and I was in that slump like, man, can I do this? You know what I'm saying? So for Russ, 3 bad years. Right? Can you beat a Russ? And you got to go out there and make some of them plays to prove it to yourself.
Well, I love this show because you're currently getting conversation stories that you can't find online. You can't find these on Google. You definitely can't find them on X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. James, let me ask you a question, big dog, because this has me thinking, TJ has me thinking, James Jones. Are we being unfair to Russell Wilson? Reason I say that is this. Emmanuel Acho, 6th-round pick, torn quad. You have to prove yourself in the preseason. You ain't earned the right. You have not earned the right, Acho, to know that you are going to be on this team. 2013, I had 22 tackles in the preseason, 2nd in the National Football League, 1st in the NFC. Meant nothing. The Eagles still cut me, I think, 2 days before our first game. Meant nothing. The preseason game, it meant nothing. James Jones, you were 3rd in yards your rookie year preseason, tied for 1st in receptions with Lance Moore.
Gotcha.
But it's a preseason. It doesn't mean anything. How in the world, for Russell Wilson, probably a Hall of Famer, TJ Houshmandzadeh, how in the world can this preseason game mean so much for somebody who's already accomplished and proven so much? Fellas, are we being unfair to Russ?
We're not being unfair because we're going off a track record now. Remember, we all know this best. We all play in the National Football League. What have you done for me lately, right? And what Russ has done hasn't been good football. And you know what Russ has done for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Absolutely nothing.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So when you come to a new situation, unless you're making $50 million, everybody has to prove themselves when they're coming into a new situation. I went from the Green Bay Packers to the Oakland Raiders. And when I got into training camp, after like 2 days in practice, Dennis Allen gets up there to the podium and he says, I think James Jones lost a step. And in my mind, I'm like, you thought you was getting Deshaun Jackson? Because I ain't never been a Blazer. You see me catch 80-yard touchdowns and you see me catch and run because I'm a football player, right? But that's what you've seen at the Packers. Now that I'm live in front of you, you think you getting this dude that's super explosive fast. No, I'm a really good football player. But he thought I had this speed. And I'm like, lost a step? What are you talking about? But with the Oakland Raiders, I had to reprove myself to them because they didn't know me. I never played a game for them. Russell Wilson has never played a game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has to prove to the Pittsburgh Steelers that I'm that dude, I'm that Russell Wilson from old, because they for sure don't want the Russell Wilson these last 3 years. Yeah. He has to prove I'm that Russell Wilson from old, because if you are the Russell Wilson from these last 3 years, we might as well go with Fields. So that's why he has a lot to prove, because this is a whole new team, whole new situation. They don't know you.
After 9 years in Cincy or 10? 9. After 9 years in Cincy, you go to Seattle. You have, I think, 911 receiving yards that season. But going into that season, did you have to prove yourself? Or is it like, bro, I've already played 9 years. Why are y'all making my prove myself still? Why?
When I went to Seattle, they had 2 good receivers already there, and Nate Burleson and Deion Branch. In practice, you got to prove yourself. In practice, you got to prove yourself. When you scrimmage live, you got to prove yourself, because I got a big deal when I went to Seattle, and everybody want to know why he get this big deal. Well, I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you the first padded practice. Anytime we did anything competitive, you have to show them. And for Russell, it's a new team, new surroundings. If he had a great year last year, he wouldn't have to prove himself. Yeah. But because he's had some off years, they want to see if he still has it. And when you talking about dropping those balls, man, that happens. So I tell these young guys that I train, like, you're going to drop the ball once, and then you're going to drop it twice. That third one, the ball's going to be coming to you, and you're literally going to be like, catch the ball, catch the ball, catch. Like, I was a punt returner. Playing the Steelers, I dropped a punt. I promise, I'm letting this next punt drop. It was a tight game. I'm like, I'm letting.
No doubt. Getting off the bounce.
And people that know me, I truly believe in myself. Yeah. I'm like, I'm letting this punt drop. I'm letting this drop.
That's true story.
True story. I'm like, special team, catch the ball, TJ. I'm like, it's Darren Simmons. I'm like, Darren, if you don't get up out, like, I was so angry because I know I should have fair caught it. But I just dropped a punt earlier. Like, your mind. And so for Russell Wilson, his mind, his psyche. But me going to Seattle, you constantly have to prove yourself.
That's a good point.
I mean, I leave Cincinnati, I had a 100-catch season, and I go to Seattle, and I believe I had like 80-something catches. I'm like, oh, I had a terrible season. And it was just, I felt like I did well, but I didn't feel like I proved myself to what I'm expecting of myself.
So I don't forget this thought, because we got some story time right here. So I believe it was going into my 4th year, right? I went up to Coach Mike's office, and I said, Coach Mike, I'm not a backup, dog. Like, I'm a starter in this league. Like, I'm not a backup. It was Greg Jennings and Donald Driver at the time. And he looked me in my face and he said, JJ, show it, prove it. And it can't be close when it's a competition. This is what he told me. He said, Donald's making a lot of money. It cannot be close when it's a competition. So it needs to be clear as cut that you playing better than this dude. And that's going to happen at training camp. And I went out there to training camp, and I was on a mission. Every time he got up to the podium after training camp practice, he said, man, listen here, best player on the field, including Aaron Rodgers, is James Jones. He having that type of camp, right? But he was like, when you're in a competition, it can't be close. Yeah. I went out there and I made it, hey,
leave no doubt.
It ain't close. And the day before the first game, I will never forget. I was sitting by my wife. Coach Mike called me, and he said, "You did what you were supposed to do, man. You started." And I hung up on him and said, "Say no more."
What happened to Donald Driver?
Donald Driver was still on the team, but I ran out there with the 12 personnel, 12 regular. I ran out there, you know what I'm saying? But I left no doubt in training camp that, hey, man, D-Drive is good, but I outperformed him in training camp. That's what Russ got to do.
Bet. Okay, that's the question I was going to ask you. So, TJ, I'll just ask you directly. Does Russ have to leave no doubt tomorrow?
100%. Because what have you done for me lately? It's not what you did yesterday, what you did last. What are you doing today? If he plays terrible, the door for Justin Fields just opens up. And don't believe me, Mike Tomlin has said it.
Yeah.
It's a competition. If the head coach is saying it's a competition, you haven't showed him enough. You have not shown him that you deserve to be the starter. You have not shown him that he should tell the public and the team that you're the starter. So there's doubt in his mind that you're the starter. Leave no doubt.
And here's something incredibly controversial because Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, they have left no doubt. However, Andy Reid, controversially to some, has said the Chiefs are going to play their starters the entire first half of their preseason game. Roughly a quarter century of NFL experience sitting at this desk. Is Andy Reid making one of the biggest mistakes of his season? Remember, starting wide receiver Hollywood Brown out for 4 weeks with an injury last preseason game. We'll talk about it on the other side of this commercial break. Don't forget, check us out every day, Fox Sports Channel, Sirius XM. Maybe the biggest mistake you can make before the season starts.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.